අලුතෙන් SLT Mobitel Home 4G LTE connection ගන්නාට වටිනා tab computers සහ data දීමනා. අලුතෙන් SLT Mobitel Home 4G LTE connection ගන්නාට වටිනා tab computers සහ data දීමනා.
Lifebuoy සමට හිතකර බවට විද්‍යානුකූලව පරීක්ෂා කර ඇත. විෂ බීජ මත්තුයි සමටත් සුමුතුයි.
Tonight, making waves. Economist warns of the impact of the LIOC hike.
So increasing oil prices are expected to rise inflation.
Meanwhile, former minister says CPC sheds will bear the brunt.
CPC, since the product is sold at a cheaper price, people flock around there and the CPC's loss gets greater.
Double solution. ITEC MP welcomes presidential discussions next week.
We hope to discuss certain matters with him, and if we don't find an answer to the national ethnic question in this country, you all will not be able to fix this economy.
Thinking ahead, energy expert says Sri Lanka needs mega investment for its renewable goals.
This will require an investment of 10 billion US dollars. Investment required to upgrade the grid will be 3 to 5 billion US dollars.
While the long-term benefits look promising.
This would require establishment of grid connectivity between the two countries.
Just in time. The Reserve Bank of India confirms the expected $500 million credit line to Sri Lanka. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Friday, the 11th of March, 2022.
සුවඳැති ජැස්මින් සහ විටමින් E සාරය සමගින් Novalax White.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening. Welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamma Kekanai. The Lanka Indian Oil Company increased its prices of fuel last midnight, compounding the problems of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The LIOC increased the prices of all varieties of petrol by 50 rupees, while all manner of diesel saw a 75 rupee hike. The massive gulf in prices between the LIOC and the CPC means that people are now more likely to frequent CPC refueling stations. But that doesn't bring profit, but a whole new set of problems. The Lanka Indian Oil Company yet again hiked fuel prices in less than 3 weeks since their last price increase. The move, which came into effect last midnight, saw the prices of all varieties of petrol go up by 50 rupees, with diesel going up by 75 rupees. With that, a litre of 92-octane petrol costs 254 rupees at LIOC pumps. Further, a litre of LIOC's 95-octane is now 283 rupees. As for diesel, the 75 rupee price hike means LIOC's auto diesel currently costs 214 rupees, while a litre of super diesel goes for 249 rupees at LIOC pumps. According to the LIOC, the upward revision in the rupee and the ongoing Russian war increasing the prices of crude oil to its highest levels since 2008 forced them to increase fuel prices. An economist, however, is forecasting a ripple effect from the price hike, though LIOC only has 1/3 of the island's market share.
Oil prices have a direct impact on householders as well as the industries. So increasing oil prices are expected to rise inflation. Definitely there is a direct impact on the inflation. You all know that now the inflation is double digit. It is around 16.4%. This oil price increase will further increase the inflationary situation what we are facing at the moment in the economy.
After the LIOC price hike, now there is a considerable difference between LIOC prices and the prices of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The CPC charges 177 rupees for a litre of 92-octane petrol, compared to 254 the LIOC now charges. The 77 rupee difference is more than 1/3 of the price of the LIOC. The gap between LIOC's 95-octane petrol and the CPC's is 76 rupees. Meanwhile, CPC sells auto diesel at 121 rupees per litre, while its competitor LIOC has now hiked its price to 214 rupees. That leaves a price difference of 93 rupees. What's more, a litre of CPC's super diesel at 159 rupees costs 90 rupees less than that of LIOC's. Udegam Mampila, when he was the energy minister, said that the daily loss incurred by the CPC is 551 million rupees. Further, it incurs a loss of 50 rupees from each diesel litre and 19 rupees from a litre of petrol. Consumers flocking to CPC refuelling stations will compound CPC's losses.
IOC generate profits and majority of it is taken out of the country. CPC, since the product is sold at a cheaper price, people flock around there and the CPC's loss gets greater. And that becomes a burden once again on all 22 million Sri Lankans. I don't understand on what criteria, what basis these decisions are taken. And on the other hand, as a result of sudden increase by the IOC, price of every consumer item and every transport mode has gone up.
Further, the more CPC sells, the government will have to purchase fuel more frequently. But that urgency may not be matched by forex inflows. There lies another problem. The expert view is that it is time for the government to stop shielding the consumer.
Unfortunately, the situation is the government has very few policy options available with them to face for this situation. Since we have not had any future visionary planning from the history. We all know that in Trincomalee we have a huge oil tank reserve where we have not capitalized or not utilized them to face for this kind of a situation. We should have used them and we could have used this oil tank reserve as a buffer stock, but we have not done it. And on the other hand, we have not gone for forward contract where we should have, to a certain extent, we should have keep a stable price in the marketplace. So the government or the planners or the officials has not done it in the past. Therefore, what is available at the moment is just to increase the price and just follow merely what the IOC has done.
Now then, Sri Lanka is looking at a 13 to 15 billion US dollar investment over the coming years if it is to achieve 70% of the country's electricity requirement via renewable sources by 2030. This view was expressed during the 4th edition of the Renewable Energy Growth Forum, which got underway in Colombo yesterday.
The word electricity in recent times has been going hand in hand with another word in Sri Lanka, crisis. With the forex shortage having a direct impact on procuring fuel for power generation, all the long-term plans the country had in its pivot towards increasing renewable energy generation will have to be expedited. What's more, the country is planning to generate 70% of its electricity requirement through renewable resources by 2030. By then, there will be around 28,000 gigawatt hours of electricity demand. Compared to the demand today, which is around 16,000 gigawatt hours, that's a 12,000 gigawatt hour increase over the next 8 years. The Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority for now is hopeful of adding at least 15,000 gigawatt hours via renewable energy sources to the grid by 2030, and the cost of an adequate transmission network alone for that is $3 billion US. But all of this is easier said than done. During the 4th edition of the Renewable Energy Growth Forum, which kicked off in Colombo yesterday, the issues, aims and the way forward were expressed.
The challenge is the inherent fluctuation nature of the renewable energy resources, leading to difficulties in attaining firm power. Also, the peak electricity demand of the country occurs in the night time right now, but in the future it may change again. Where the solar resources, the renewable energy resource with most abundance is available only in the daytime. We can address these issues by way of introducing battery energy storage. I hope battery energy will play a major role in the future in the power system, not only the power the system, but for the stability as well. Time is ripe to seriously think on growing our energy as we are facing the dollar crisis. We need to get the maximum benefit of having a huge renewable energy resource base by way of creating an icon of Sri Lanka that we are fully committed to renewable energy. We can obtain ample international support and develop the resource base. Then, other hand, we can market our product and service as environmental friendly product since it is generated from the renewable energy.
Will require 3,649 megawatt of wind and 4,226 megawatt of solar along with 820 megawatt of other renewable energy to power Sri Lanka in 2030. This will require an investment of $10 billion. Not only that, the investment required to upgrade the grid to take up this much of renewable energy will be in the region of $3 to $5 billion. Even with this investment, it is naive to expect the program to succeed without securing the other inputs required. For example, we have to find suitable land resources to this capacity addition from among the small plot we call Sri Lanka.
As a strategy, we are going to allow renewable energy investors or the developers, a part of the development of power generation, invite them to make the investments for the dedicated transmission component. That means with the power plant, they can make investments on transmission network. But backbone will be improved or enhanced, developed by the government with the government funds with the assistance from various donor agencies. We have invited developers or the investors to find their own land or allocate or reserve land and to develop renewable energy projects.
Indian entities, both from the public as well as private sector, are interested in investing in renewable and clean energy projects in Sri Lanka. India would also be the most viable market for renewable energy generated in Sri Lanka once the full potential of such projects has been realized. This would require establishment of grid connectivity between the two countries, which is another promising area of cooperation.
Permission has been granted by the National Medicines Regulatory Authority's Price Control Committee to raise drug prices by 29% due to the effect of the rupee devaluation. With that, State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jayasumana, says that he expects artificial shortages that have been experienced in the recent days to end.
Following the devaluation of the rupee earlier this week, prices of many essential food items and commodities have seen an almost immediate increase. This has now compounded Sri Lanka's double-digit inflation issue. With that, the Bakery Owners Association announced a price increase of a 450-gram loaf of bread by 30 rupees with effect from midnight today. The explanation given was the need to mirror the increase in wheat flour prices. The prices of other bakery products will have to be increased approximately by 10 rupees as well, they added. In the meantime, the All Ceylon restaurant owners also announced that the prices of all food items will have to be increased in line with the price hike in commodities. This will evidently hike the price of a packet of rice and curry by between 20 or 30 rupees. Meanwhile, State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jayasumana, addressed recent drug shortages, calling them artificially created by distributors and pharmacies. He also announced a 29% price hike that was approved by the NMRA's Price Control Board.
අද දවල් 12ට ඒ කමිටුව රැස් වුණා. එතකොට මේ ඩොලරේ වෙච්ච සිදු වුණ අගය පිළිබඳව සලකා බලලා ඔවුන් අපිට නිර්දේශයක් ලබා දීලා තිනවා ඖෂධවල මිල කොපමණ ප්‍රමාණයකින්ද වැඩි කරන්න අවසර දෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒ නිර්දේශය තමයි අපිට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම අපිට පේනවා ඊයේ සහ පෙරේදා දිනවල රටේ තැන් තැන් වලින් ආරංචි ලැබුණා ඖෂධ හිඟයක් මතුවලා තිනවා කියලා විශේෂයෙන්ම පෞද්ගලික ඔසුසල් ආශ්‍රිතව. ඒකට හේතුව තමයි මිල වැඩි වෙයි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් මේ ගොඩක් ඔසුසල් බෙදා හරින්නන් සහ ආනයනය කරන අය ඔවුන් ඖෂධ බෙදා හැරීම සහ අලෙවි කිරීම යම් විදිහකට නැවතුණා. ඒක නිසා કૃත්‍රිම විදිහට හිඟයක් ඇති වුණා. මේ ආනයන කරුවන් අපට දැනුම් දීලා තියෙනවා පෞද්ගලික අංශ සතුව මේ රටට අවශ්‍ය ඖෂධ මාස 4කට අවශ්‍ය ඖෂධ රටේ තියෙනවා කියලා. ඒ වගේම රාජ්‍ය අංශය සඳහා අපි සතුව බොහෝ ඖෂධ මාස 6කට ප්‍රමාණවත් ගබඩා තියෙනවා. මිලන පාලන කමිටුව මේ වෙනකොට දැනුම් දීලා තියෙනවා 29කින් මිල ඉහළ දැමීම සඳහා ඔවුන්ගේ අවසරය ලබා දෙනවා කියලා.
We will see you shortly on the other side of this break. Bear with us.
Big 3.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. President of the Asian Development Bank, Matsugu Asakawa, has pledged to support the island's development efforts continuously, while noting that the projects implemented with ADB assistance have made significant strides. His pledge came when he met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday. The ADB president had also said that special attention will be given to support small and medium-scale enterprises as well as private sector entrepreneurial development. The ADB has provided $750 million as concessional loans last year, with Asakawa saying that loans worth $2 billion would be allocated for operational projects this year. The ADB president assured assistance in the efforts to revive the tourism sector in Sri Lanka and the development of human capital, which has suffered a setback due to the COVID-19 pandemic. During the talks, the PMD said that the president thanked the ADB for providing nearly $600 million worth of loans and financial assistance to the island to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ilange Tamil Arasukanchi parliamentarian Shanakyan Rasamanikam told Parliament today that representatives of his party are looking forward to talks with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on Tuesday. He added that the talks will revolve around solutions to the country's crisis and warned that Sri Lanka will not be able to recover from this without the assistance of the Tamil community. Meanwhile, the government and opposition trade barbs once again over calls for Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa to address Parliament over the economy.
අයවැය ලේඛනයේ පිළිතුරු කතාවෙන් පසුව මුදල් අමාත්‍යවරයා මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පැමිණලා යම් අදහසක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න නැත්නම් කතානායකතුමනි එය කෙසේද අපි පිළිගන්නේ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පැවරී තිබෙන ප්‍රධාන බලතල දෙකෙන් එකක් නීති සම්පාදනය දෙවෙනි එක මුදල් බලතල ඒ ආර්ථිකයේ හැසිරෙන ආකාරයන් පිළිබඳව මුදල් අමාත්‍යවරයාට අත්හරින්න බැරි වගකීමක් තිබෙන්නේ මේක. ඔහු මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඇවිල්ලා මේ තත්ත්වය කියන්න ඕන කරු කතානායකතුමනි. මම දන්නවා දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන අමාත්‍යතුමත් මේක දන්නවා.
විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයේ පසුගිය මාස දෙකමාර තුළම කිව්වේ මොකද්ද? ඩොලරයට තිබෙන වටිනාකම මහා බැංකුවෙන් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරලා තිබෙන එක වැරදි. මේක 230ට විතර දැන් නැකලා තියෙනවා. Why don't you all devalue? Why don't you devalue? Float the rupee. මේ කතාවල් කිව්වනේ. දැන් කියනවා why have you floated and devalued the rupee? කියන දේ සහ ඉන් පස්සේ හැසිරෙන දේ මම මේ සීපත් කරන්නේ. එතකොට මේ අය 2015 ආණ්ඩුව බාර ගන්නකොට 135යි. මේගොල්ලන්ව පෙරලලා යවනකොට 188යි. 50කින් වැඩි කරලා. ඒ නිසා ඔබත් දන්නවා අපිත් දන්නවා ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය තත්ත්වයන් ගැන ජනාධිපතිතුමා ඔබතුමාලා කාටත් සහයෝගයෙන් වැඩ කරන්න මේ අර්බුදය හරහා කියලා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. ඒකට සහයෝගය දෙනවා මිසක් මේ දෙබිඩි කතා කීමෙන් අර්ථයක් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, Ilanke Tamil Arasukachi parliamentarian Shanakyan Rasamanikam took up the sudden devaluation of the rupee, accusing the government of having made an already hard situation much harder for the people.
අද ඩොලර් එක කීයද කියලා බලන්න. අද ඩොලර් එක රුපියල් 260යි. අපි අවුරුදු එකහමාරක් තිස්සේ අපි දිගින් දිගටම කිව්වා මේ ඩොලර් එක පාලනය කරගන්න බලන්න. විදේශ සංචිත අඩු කරගන්න එපා. තියෙන ණය රීස්ට්‍රක්චර් කරගන්න. තියෙන ඩොලර් ටික ඔක්කොම ගෙවුවන් පස්සේ ඉදිරි අනාගතයේදී අපිට ඩොලර් නැති වෙයි. ඇහුවේ නැහැ. එකවර ඩොලර් එක රුපියල් 200 ඉඳන් 260ට වැට්ටුවා. මේක අද එකවර 260කට ගෙනාපු ගමන් මොනවද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? අද මිනිස්සු අනාථ වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
He also accused a group of 31 dissident MPs who are critical of the government of attempting to escape from their share of responsibility for the current crises.
විපක්ෂයේ කාර්යභාරය කරන්න ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ മന്ത്രിවරු කණ්ඩායමක් පිටත් වෙලා ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා. മന്ത്രിවරු 31ක්ද කොහෙද? ඒකේ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමත් මම හිතන්නේ ඒකට නායකත්වය දෙනවා. හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා තමයි මේ රටේ ප්‍රධාන විනාශය කර පුද්ගලයා. 2018 මේ කන්ස්ටිටියුෂනල් කූ එකක් කරලා පිටිපස්ස දොරෙන් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අගමැති කරලා ව්‍යවස්ථාව උල්ලංඝනය කළ මේ රට විනාශ කරේ එතුමා ඉස්සෙල්ලම. අද රට හරිමකට ගේන්නේ එතුමා සමග කණ්ඩායමක් ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා. දැන් මේ 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනය පාස් කරනකොට බැසිල් රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා ඇමරිකන් කාර්යයක් කියලා තිබ්බේ නැද්ද? මතකද නැද්ද? දන්නේ නැද්ද? බබා. ඒතර 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනයේ අත උස්සද්දි මෙතන ඔක්කොම අතිස්සුවේ. ඔය 31ත් අතිස්සුවා. ගිලෙන නැවෙන් පනලා ඔබතුමාලට තේරෙන්න බෑ. ඔය 31ටත් සාමූහික වගකීමක් තියෙනවා. අඩුම ගානේ අපි මේ පැත්තේ ඉන්න ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ පසුපෙළ മന്ത്രിවරුන් අපි අගය කරනවා. බැනුම් අහගෙන හරි ජනාධිපතිතුමාට සහයෝගය දීගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඉන්න තැන හරියට ඉන්නවා. එක්කෝ ආණ්ඩුවෙන් එළියට ඇවිල්ලා ඇමතිකම් ඇතැරලා කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒවත් තියාගෙන වරප්‍රසාදත් තියාගෙන තමයි කතා කරන්නේ.
Further, Rasamanikam also welcomed upcoming talks with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on Tuesday next week that he added holds a lot of expectations.
We have been trying to talk to the government. We are thankful to the president. He has finally given us an opportunity to meet him on Tuesday, upcoming Tuesday. We hope to discuss certain matters with him. And if we don't find an answer to the national ethnic question in this country, you all will not be able to fix this economy. Thank you.
Now, after entering into an agreement with the government of Sri Lanka on the 2nd of February this year, India's Export-Import Bank finally confirmed the $500 million credit line for the purpose of purchasing petroleum products from India. In a notification, the bank said that out of the total credit by Exim Bank, goods, works and services of value of at least 75% should be supplied by the seller from India. The remaining 25% of goods and services may be procured by the seller from outside India. As per conditions of the credit line, the terminal utilization period of 6 months from the date of signing the agreement or other extended date agreed at the request of borrower. However, the extended date should not be beyond 12 months from the date of the agreement. Further, no agency commission is payable for export under the above LOC. However, if required, the exporter may use his own resources or utilize balances in his exchange earner's foreign currency account for payment of commission in free foreign exchange. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa held talks with officials at the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment pertaining to the declines in foreign remittances and the possible reasons for it. During the talks with the President, SLBFE Chairman Major General Mahinda Hathurusinga said that most of the workers' remittances are absorbed into the drug trade.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa called at the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment today. Following his arrival, the President spoke with some of the people who had come to the institution to obtain services. The President then had a discussion with the officials of the Bureau.
Workers' remittances, sir. But the problem was 2021, there was a big market mafia going in those countries, sir. 21 April ඉඳන් තමයි සර් ඩ්‍රොප් එක පටන් ගන්නේ.
ඒ මිනිස්සු ආපුහන් දද
නෑ සර් නෑ. මේක සර් ටෙම්පර් කරනවා මගේ.
අර ඒ කියන්නේ සෑහෙන ගාණක්.
සෑහෙන ගාණක් සර්.
2 බිලියන් විතර
2 billion sir US.
ඒ කියන්නේ හවාලා සිස්ටම් එකකින් එනවා.
සර් දැන් අපි ත්‍රි රෙමිටන්සස් අඩුනේ අර මුඩියල් ක්‍රමයට ඒ නිසානේ. ඇත්තම කතාව ඒක තමයි. මේ මාසේ බලමු මේකත් එක්ක රෙමිටන්සස් එනවාද කියලා. මාවුත් අපේ තියරි එක හරි. එහෙම නොවෙන්න ඉඩක් නැහැ. දැන් මොකද දැන් 260 වලට ගිහිල්ලානේ. ඒකින්ද
ඊට වඩා දීලා
දෙන්නේ නැහැ සර්.
එහෙන් එකතු කරන සල්ලි මොනවද කරන්නේ?
I inquired sir. ගොඩක් යන drug trade එකේ. දැන් කර මෙහෙට බඩු දානවා. ඒ some elements යනවා සර්. ලංකාවට බඩු යවන්නේ.
කුඩු වලට යනවා.
ඔව් සර්. බඩු වල. ඒක ගණන් දීලා ගන්නේ සර්.
Now, a circular has been issued by the Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, allowing students to attend classes from Monday as usual. Lessons in schools were being conducted based on the number of students per class due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the new circular notes that all students should be summoned to school as per usual from next Monday. It also says that if an issue with regard to functioning of schools arises owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is possible to take necessary actions with the approval of the Zonal Director of Education. Sri Lankan shares fell today after gaining the most in 16 years in the previous session, dragged down by financial and industrials. The all-share price index fell by 178.61 points today to close at 10,677.46 points, while the S&P SL20 fell by 75.95 points to close at 3,655.18 points. Meanwhile, Wall Street resumed its sell-off yesterday, closing lower as inflation hit a 4-decade high, cementing expectations that the US Federal Reserve would hike key interest rates. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 lost 18.69 points to end at 4,259.19 points, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 126.81 points to close at 13,128.73. With that, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 112.01 points to 33,174.24. Meanwhile, Indian shares were subdued today amid mixed global cues of stable oil prices and surging US inflation, although the main indices were set for their first weekly gain in 5. The blue-chip NSE Nifty 50 index was down 0.07% at 16,582.95 this evening, and the S&P BSE Sensex fell 0.04% to 55,442.80. In global markets, oil prices stabilized and were on track for their biggest weekly drop since November, after seesawing on fears of escalating bans on Russian oil versus efforts to bring more supply to markets from other major producers. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.